My Chinese dream is rather simple. I think it's that my family is safe, sound, and healthy. That's all I want. Out there, many foreign countries are currently engaged in war. I think China's in good shape, peaceful. That's good enough.
My biggest dream right now is that my child is accepted into the best university.
It is no secret that America has fallen behind the Chinese in so many ways economically, but the point now has to be tackled as to what it all means as we move forward, and whether the Chinese dream has now overtaken the American dream. Welcome back to MidPoint. Chairman and CEO of Patriarch Equity and a regular contributor to Forbes.com and Business Week, Eric Schiffer joins us again on the show. Eric, good to see you.
Good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Excellent. However, I will perhaps say that some people may not be so excellent when they hear what we have to talk about here, and that is that this is about much more than just money, isn't it? Certainly, we've had all the reports in the last couple of weeks that talked about China becoming their economy surpassing America, but this has to do with national pride, intelligence, schooling, and so much more, doesn't it?
It really does. You know, when you talk about the Chinese dream, it's somewhat different than what the American dream was and still may be for many people in this country. It represents more. It represents the concept of China being very prosperous economically. And to many of the Chinese people, that means being the #1 economy in the world. It also means, and this is going to be strange to a lot of Americans, but it means peace and prosperity. Most of the Chinese people in polls, and certainly in my own anecdotal experience, I was just there last week on business in both Shanghai and Shenzhen. They want peace. Most of the people are very sweet, open, peaceful people that certainly are in these cities, and they're not looking for war, but they do have pride about making sure that China is #1 and on top. And look, the United States has a really big competitor right now. They want it, and they're hungry, and the government is supporting that growth in funding a lot of companies and certainly pumping a lot of money into the country.
Fair to say, though, that on one side of that prosperity argument is the fact that it is still a communist-run country, so it's not as if all these people we hear how they're so happy, they make so much money, that in essence it certainly is scalable when you look at it if you were involved in a capitalistic society and you had freedoms.
Well, it's interesting. I was there 10 years ago, and you could literally feel the oppression on the streets. I mean, there were guards who were on the streets. You'd look around, and I didn't feel comfortable. Today, it's a different situation in that while it's still a communist country, you don't see the PRC, these police everywhere in uniforms. What you do see is it's hidden now. I mean, you've got plainclothes cops instead because they want foreigners to feel comfortable. They want people to want to invest in the country. And so they've really been careful about making sure that the perception, both amongst the consumers, the people that shop in China, the Chinese people itself, as well as foreigners, have a sense that, you know, it's much like what might be Taiwan, which is a capitalist country and a free country. So this is an interesting experiment that's been going on, and it's showing that capitalism works. What may come out of it will be something much further, which is far more freedoms for the Chinese people.
I have about a minute or so left here. Capitalism certainly works, but isn't it fair to say that part of the argument here comes down to education? That the Chinese in many ways are more educated than many Americans are, and that's the biggest issue. We should be looking to become more educated than worried about many times whether or not the Kardashians have a new show.
You know, the Kardashians, it's pretty shameful, frankly. When you consider raising a child today and the things that a young child looks at in terms of being hot and cool, you don't see scientists, you don't see smart people being the coolest. And that really needs to change. And education is the bedrock of any type of success, especially in a knowledge-based economy, which we live in today. And so I would we need to encourage far more of that in this country, where the Chinese perceive it as being cool. They feel that, you know, you can never be smart enough. You can always learn more. And what's great is the leading companies and the leading entrepreneurs of America recognize this. They're always educating themselves. But we need to have culture and the media catch up to the importance of this and begin to propagate and show shows like couples therapy or other types of shows where they focus on education and making people better.
Learn that it's all about being cool and you can be educated at the same time. There you go. Eric Schiffer, always a pleasure to see you, my friend. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mike. Take care.
All right. After the break, follow the polling numbers to Election Day, and we have all the latest numbers. It means something. And at 51 minutes after the hour, one key Republican talks on what his party must do if they indeed win the Senate. It's on MidPoint.